Alright, good morning, good day. This is the African Crypto Warlord, and today we're going to be doing analysis on Bitcoin. So where we left off was about 35 days ago. What we're watching here today is the Laplace distribution cone getting pretty much filled out since the last time volatility was at zero on the 26th of March 2022. So a whole year ago was when volatility hit zero. So the general idea being is this orange line is the mean. So price wants to mean revert to it. Any one of these colors you see here are highly statistically significant probabilistic levels within the Laplace distribution. Okay, so if you hold above the blue, you know you're going to test the next blue. If you hold above the blue, you're going to test the pink. Okay, any one of the white lines in between is what stops that. Okay, our last analysis, I think, was actually here, just before this retrace that went in. What were we saying? We're saying this thing needs to come in, fill certain levels, and has to break through this region. All right. Now, what can we see? Technically, Bitcoin is still bearish. Why do I say this? Because it's under a very important pink line for me in my Laplace distribution cone. Okay, the moment Bitcoin gets above $35,150, you have all right to look for continuation to whatever it is, 40 grand, which is maybe somewhere in the middle here. But if it gets above here, it's testing for mean reversion. The last time volatility was at zero, that's at 45. Okay, if it fails from here, we're looking all the way back down to 15 grand. Any one of these lines can stop it. Over here we can have a hidden bull div. This will just be a normal bull div if it hits here. Over here we can have a hidden bull div form at 20, just call it 23,500 on Poloniex, and the next target down would be 28,550. Okay, so this is technically still bearish to me, even though it is in a bullish posturing. It was about a couple dollars away from being a very big macro trend back to the upside, right? General idea here is if it does hold above the pink, it's going to go test out the pink. That's what it's technically trying for. That's $77,000 for a Bitcoin. Okay, what can we see? We have a positive skew. All right, this is our negative side of the cone. This is a negative blue line that's actually printed above the mean. Okay, so there is a positive skew. So I am looking for a 47k BTC. If we hold above $35,000, you could say 150. Alright, so that's your long-term analysis. Another thing that we're going to be going through today is we're going to go look for any untouched volatility range means. Okay, but before we do all that fancy stuff, we just need to get the direction of volatility. Okay, so this is on a cone with drift, so it hits the outside of the cone, and the general idea is that if it's hit this side of the cone and there hasn't been another zero flash of volatility, well then it might be $1 million Bitcoin. Okay, so as soon as there's a flash, you can expect. But there's also mean reversion up here at $83,000, 60, all these funny lines. All right, just within Laplace distribution, we can see that if you were to just draw a horizontal line, more than likely this will be a pit stop at 30 grand sometime in the future, and that matches up with our cone on the far left here. Okay, so these are probabilistic levels. We'll get some statistics out for them. What am I going to do now? Now I'm going to do the high time frame shuffle down, and we're just going to get support positive. Oh, we're going to have to exit this thing all the time. All right, so TradingView is really trying to give us signals here. Shout out to Alpha Trading for pretty much building myself and the rest of the team a very beautiful direction indicator. If it's green, you buy. If it's purple, you sell. If it's red, you sell. If it's yellow, you buy. So it's pretty simple. I like this. Okay, so what can we see here? A bunch of mean reversion. Our normal distribution of returns are starting to mean revert. We're only going to have that if we are holding above the pink line that we just saw, all right, on the 7-day. What can we see here? We can see expansion is still happening on the 21-day to the upside with a fresh mean reversion. The rest of the return oscillator still needs to follow through, but what's going to put the bearish div on the 21-day is that pink line at $35,150. Okay, If it closes below that line for as many candles, or whatever time frame closes below that line, you're going to see this pretty much get denied mean reversion, and then we're going to go test that. I think it was like 20 grand or 18 grand. That will be the push. Okay, so there is still some volatility expanding to the upside, given it has been a few big green candles. What can we see here? Sorry if you can hear these cicadas. I'm battling cicadas and monkeys and a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so 14 days, still expansion to the upside. All right, has had its mean reversion, has hit an outlier event. Okay, we can signify that outlier event being the pink line on the 7-day cone. Let's get the direction on the 7-day. All right, what can we see here? There's your outlier event that we just pretty much pointed out on the 14-day. Okay, this is why time frame shuffles are good. What can we see here on the bottom right, which is the direction of volatility, is that it's 50-50 at these levels. All right, not so good. You would want this thing to start picking up direction. So if we know that the 7-day it's 50-50, we're going to drop into the 5-day, the 3-day, the 24-hour to see if there's a drift, either positive or negative drift, that can actually keep on pushing this thing up into the pink line. All right, if you're bullish, or a negative drift to keep it from coming back into the pink line, meaning you're bearish. Okay, so that's in. Let's go have a look. You see there's still some expansion to the upside on the 5-day. Problem is it's starting to lose its correlation, at least on the slower length moving average. Our entropy is looking to, it has broken outside of its trend, so it's a very big outlier in that sense. So we could be expecting a pullback. It's going to be quite hard to try and print 7 expansion candles in a row. Okay. If you're bullish, you want to see contraction and you want to see this thing fall down here. That's going to add the positive drift over the next 15 days worth of 5-day candles to just keep on pushing it back into the pink line. Just keep on pushing it back into the pink line here on the 7-day. All right, positive drift will keep it here at $35,200, you could say. So that's on the 7-day. Now that's the 5-day time frame. And we drop to the 3-day. A 3-day has got the positive drift, hence why this short signal hasn't had the opportunity to play through. Its outlier event hasn't had the chance to play through, is because it's this posturing and this signal generating over here will tell me that there's an opportunity for a bull div, a hidden bull div, whichever one happens first. All right, so there's positive drift on the 3-day, which means technically anything lower than the 3-day should be bought up until stated otherwise. So we have 15 hours and we'll have 16 hours until the next 3-day prints. Okay, so it's going to be a lot more significant for Saturday, Sunday, Monday close, because we're going to have just your general return oscillators ticking down, but this thing is still moving up. All right, so it's not necessarily 50-50. It's just that this is what sets in the hidden bull if it's going to be bullish. All right, what can we see here? This is on the 24-hour. 24-hour is now starting to hit a negative drift phase. Okay, not so good. If I was to mark out a target here, we have one at 29,122 on Binance. That would be its weekly mean reversion. So this weekend, if Bitcoin wants to be the beast, that's where she could be if it gets really bearish. All right, general idea being is, if it hasn't touched this thing, it's going to come back to it. Okay, that's sort of how I trade long-term stuff. There are ones to the upside, but if you're looking for a breakout of previous highs of $68,000, you want to clear these things now. Then it has no reason to come back down here when it does hit 68 grand. Okay. Now we have the 12-hour. We have same thing, negative drift coming in on the 12-hour. Given that our 3-day is going to be a lot stronger than the 12-hour, so we have negative drift on 24-hour, 12-hour, but the 3-day's got the positive drift. Okay, so it's sideways over here. Here's your opportunity that's forming for a hidden bull div. Given this candle is green, is red, meaning get ready to sell, we're gonna have to keep on dropping it down. All right. As we get down to the 5-day, you'll see that we came up and perfectly touched this. So this is the 6-hour. Anything rarely, if we start failing below $34,200, this is more than likely going to get denied mean reversion, which could send it back to $32,600. All right, that's its retrace. If we can hold above $32,568, then sweet. You know that this trend can carry on continuing. But given that we have two untouched magnets to the downside, I do expect a pullback sometime in the future. All right. There is one that's lower down, but I think I will pull that up over the weekend if we hit the daily over here. All right. What do we have next? We have some more negative drift coming in through the book with a mean reversion to the downside on the 3 hour. Little bit of nonsense here coming through. Again, a lot of sideways. There's higher time frames that have some positive drift, trying to unwind into a bullish div and expansion pump, whilst the shorter term time frames are cooling off. All right, so it's a balancing act. If it does slip from here on the lower term time frames, right, I am expecting, as I said, 32,610. And what have we got here? We're starting to get to see the perfect touch that happens. So now we're on the 90 minute, right? So the 90 minute came up. Let me zoom in. Oh, you can see it here on the right. So the 90 minute came up, hit the daily mean reversion target perfectly, and that's where it's set in a hidden bear div on your normal return oscillator. And then our DLP is also starting to mean revert to the downside. So this target over here at 32,550 is, to me, on the lower term time frames, a pretty good place to maybe go and test. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty much the middle point of the pump. All right, funny that, in it. Okay, 45 day is now starting to 45 minute is starting to expand to the downside, backing the 90 minute. Okay, so that's a pullback in there. What do we want to see if we get the pullback into those regions down there? We want to see that the 3 day hasn't flipped. Okay, so I think this is the 3 day. So we want to make sure that if it does pull back into this region that we're calling out here, 32,500, we want to make sure that this thing doesn't move into negative drift. Okay, it must stay in positive drift, then it can hold above that untouched target. All right, so 90, that's a 45 minute coming in bad. There we go. This is now starting to lose correlation of its pump to the upside, given there might be an intraday scalp happening. So this could be an intraday reversal that we're currently witnessing here. Is saying give it a buy signal. It's got 8 minutes left, and it might get some continuation out. So by the time this video is done, you might see a 34,000 Bitcoin. Right, given it is quite volatile, let's see. So this is now starting to pull through on the 5 minute with an expansion mode to the upside. I want to then show you how accurate this stuff is. Alt R, cool. Losing correlation on its pump, sell signal coming in on the 1 minute, and we're just waiting for the follow through to the downside. So let's just see if the next one prints through, as it's the easy one to see. Come on. Okay, so that's 50-50. If it holds above here and doesn't break its previous lows, contraction, what have we got? That's red. So there you go. So it's your positive drift. All right, hidden bull div from here. Any failures below 33,978, I do look for continuation to the downside. Okay, so this is the range on the 1 minute pretty much. I'll go back to this chart over here, and as we're saying, we have targets that are pretty much halfway in this pump. Okay, and just going back to the beginning of the day when we started this analysis, I do look for a touch at 30,150. Okay, if it is bullish, any failures below here, we're looking for a rush down to any one of these levels, 16 grand. Furthermore, as we can get to $1 million of Bitcoin, we can also get to $8,888 of Bitcoin. If you found this information helpful, please do smash the like and subscribe button. African Crypto Warlord out. If it does have the legs from here, we're going to test. It will be about a $600 move to the upside. Okay. If we're failing from here, we have the downside targets that it's going to drip into. Pow pow. African Crypto Warlord.